Alrighty, folks, we are down to Tail End Charlie here. We're once again live from the 55th Annual AEA Convention and Trade Show, and in our last session I have deputized my right hand, our news editor, Tom Patton, to tell me what really happened here as I've been snoozing my way through this entire event, and obviously just really can't comprehend how cool it's been. And you've been out on the floor, you were in the sessions, you watched the NPI, you've been through just this amazingly technically innovative event and industry. What's your impression so far? Are they on the right track?
I think they are, Jim. You know, when we went to the first opening session and Paula Dirks talked about taking the industry back.
Oh.
And that was really such a
How
powerful
gutsy was
message.
that?
And a very gutsy message.
Love it.
And it really seems like, based on what I've heard, I didn't get a chance to hear the FAA folks today, what I've heard from them is, from the folks that did hear that speech, was that the industry does need to take itself back. But they're going to have to really work hard because of the problems in getting products certified and getting things out to market. So I think that it's really the message that's on track, that it's going to be something that, that is going to really stand this industry in good stead. That's where we are with it. Now, from being out here on the floor, I've had a lot of different conversations with some of the vendors and gotten kind of mixed reviews.
Okay.
I've heard from some of the vendors that it was a very strong show. They've seen a lot of people, done a lot of business. Some of the other vendors, and some of them frankly were some of the smaller vendors, were saying, well, it seemed a little bit slower. They weren't seeing as many people. They were seeing some of their distributors and some of their support structure. But it really was kind of a mixed review from the folks that were out on the floor.
Well, this is one of the things that's really hard to determine when you're in an industry that's in such transition as aviation is overall, and of course AEA is as a leader in innovation for all of aviation, is the fact that there are going to be folks that are going to benefit from being at the leading edge of the spear, and there are folks that are really going to get the pointy end the wrong way. Mm-hmm. We are seeing that those who are innovating and those that are taking charge of their destiny seem to be doing fairly well, and those that aren't, not so good.
Yeah. A couple of other things, too, that I would just note is that as we did the new product introductions yesterday, was it just yesterday? It seems like it was 100 years ago.
Yeah, real 105, but who's counting?
Is that it was really far more incremental this year than it was brand new. It's a very more evolutionary right now, as people are taking products that they have and they're making them better, more innovative, bringing in the iPad applications, the Android applications, those kinds of things to work with their software and work with their hardware. So that part of it too I thought was interesting, just that when we're talking about new product introductions, a lot of it was, yeah, it was new, but it wasn't really new.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing either.
Well, the things we noticed that a lot of the announcements that we've heard in the last year or two are now at a point where, okay, it was an announcement and now it's here, it's real, it's certified, we're selling it, or we're on the cusp of selling it. But there also seems to be something of an industry realignment. The 600-pound gorilla in the past has been Garmin, no question about it.
Right.
Olathe, Kansas, powerhouse of avionics. And they got that way by being innovative, by switching up, by doing the things that nobody else was doing at the time. But now they've got some real competition. You've got a number of companies that are looking at building full lines of avionics, as well as some individual companies in certain markets that are certainly giving them a run for their money. I mean, Avionics got their full stack close to being ready to present a certification package toward the end of the year. They're in a position to be the next 600-pound gorilla. Aspen has certainly been incredibly innovative, very pivotal in this environment. There is a very well-directed effort to bring Bendix King back to prominence, and they've got the right leadership team, Kevin Gould and Roger Jolis and so forth. These are great folks that understand the industry. They're pilots, they work in it, they play in it, they understand what we need. So we could see a far more competitive industry within as little as a year or two, and of course, in aviation, more so than any other industry I know, the more competition, the more we all win.
Absolutely. The other thing that I think is a trend that I noticed on this show, and it's not anywhere close to 50-50, but we are seeing a lot more things that are being produced for the back of the airplane as opposed to the front of the airplane. And that's really something that as people have their airplanes, they've got a good avionics package, they want to be able to hang on to that airplane because obviously it's not something that you trade in every 5 years. They're looking at ways to bring the back of the airplane where the owner and the customer sits to make it a more productive environment and a more comfortable environment.
But I take something really cool out of that. You know, these are the folks who, one, already own their airplanes, two, have operated their airplanes, they understand what they can and cannot do, and if they're willing to make further investments in what they know, what they use, and what they're building their businesses with, it means that what they have is a viable business tool. So the folks who really know are reinvesting, and there's a message there that really needs to get out there. So yeah, it works. It's working for people who use it. And for those of you who don't have it, you know, it's time to get in with the program, guys. Get an airplane, be mobile, get out there, do business, and crush your competition.
Absolutely. So all in all, this has been a really informative, a good show.
Yep.
We've learned a lot here, I think, this week, and it's just been a real pleasure to be back in the nation's capital.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, okay.
I'm as close to the Puzzle Palace as I want to be at this stage of the game. At least we got a moat between us and them at this point.
Yes, we do.
A couple things I want to mention as we get ready to close out over 9 hours of live coverage here from AEA. One, the community here in the avionics community is unique and innovative and fun and interesting, and God knows we've got tremendous friends and great relationships built with so many people here. As a result, one of the major projects that we've had this year has been the introduction of Airborne under the hosting of Ashley Hale, who's just done a phenomenal job. And if this background was transparent, you could see her in the back in front of a MacBook Pro editing the latest edition of Airborne. She's got it perched on a little container and off the side of the table and just tapping away like a maniac and just having a great old time. And we'll have an Airborne for you here in a few hours. But she's done a great job with that. We're getting ready to take Airborne from once a week to twice a week, which I think is where it's going to be comfortably ensconced for quite some time. But we're going to be looking at additional editions of Airborne for certain segments. We're looking at the air show community, we're looking at military, we're looking at business aviation, we're looking at some partnerships for all those that are exciting. But the first outside special edition of Airborne will be devoted to avionics. And the main reason for it is, one, innovative as all get out. Two, amazing things happening, lots of news, so there's going to be a lot of material. And finally, more important, a relationship that we've built with AEA, possibly one of the best run associations in the aviation universe. In the alphabet business, they're tops. And so we feel very confident that this is the kind of work that we need to be doing to be able to support aviation better, bring you more news, more information, so that you as aviators, you as suppliers, you as vendors, you as maintenance shops and MROs and so forth, can be better informed and ready to make the decisions about how you need to be able to take advantage of aviation and get more out of it in the process. So AEA rocks, in my opinion, and this is going to be a great industry to cover. Just as important, I got to tell you, the last couple of weeks have been the weeks from hell. We've installed new gear. You see we're in HD now. We've got a whole bunch of new things going on. These are things that, you know, arrive in the mail, and we put them to work, and we learn how they operate, and then we really learn how they operate. I have this incredibly talented staff. I have these amazing people who support me, and they do the impossible. They make me look good. And for a change, it doesn't require plastic surgery. It's really extraordinary. But I can't tell you that enough how much I appreciate the work of my senior video person, the guy who is our chief videographer, Nathan Cremasina, who gets amazing things done no matter what. I mean, I tell him what has to be done. He rolls his eyes, tells me how it can't be done, and then goes out and does it. His right hand, of course, is Ashley Hale, who does amazing work for Airborne. Puts together an Airborne program in 36 hours from start to finish, and what you see is a very polished presentation that makes aviation look good and keeps you all informed. Paul Aud, who has worked with us at Oshkosh and helps us in a number of video capacities, you're going to be seeing a lot more of his name associated with Aero-News and Aero-TV. He did a phenomenal job for us at Oshkosh, and we're looking forward to more of the same, and just beating him to a bloody pulp and making sure that we get our pound of flesh out of the poor guy. Tom, great work here. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's I always ask the impossible of you. You keep doing it, and for some reason or another, I'm really surprised that you haven't hit me up for a raise.
Well, if you want to talk about that live, we can do that.
Okay. And by the way, it's time to close this.
And scene.
Yeah, really. Our great appreciation to other support folks. We have Birgit Polly Hack, who is our web goddess, web geek, and whatever you want to call it. She supports the Aero-News site, the Aero-TV site, our Aero-casting site. Glenn Moyer, who produces all of the great audio programming that you hear each day in the Aerocast. Glenn, who many of you may know as the voice of the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta and the editor of the Ballooning Federation magazine, is just having a ball and a half, now being the voice of ANN's Aerocasting series. And boy, he's just doing a bang-up job. You'll be meeting more people from Aero-News. We're in the process of hiring a couple of new folks. We're growing, we're expanding, and God help you, not only do you have to put up with us, but you're going to have to put up with more of us. And talk about trouble and double trouble.
There you go, and we'll be around.
Folks, can't tell you how much we appreciate your support. We've gotten your comments, your letters, your emails. Keep writing, send money, whatever it works. Thanks for the note from my mom. Yeah, we're doing good, and I don't have to move in back home, so we're fine there. Live from the floor for the final time of the 55th Annual AEA Convention and Trade Show, this is Aero-TV. Thanks so much. See you at Oshkosh.
Aero-TV's live coverage of the 55th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.